Rise and shine, and how amazing it is to be alive again today. Welcome to a new episode of the ASOM experience. I'm extremely grateful to be here today, sitting with a very interesting and exciting guest with us. Before I start with the brief introduction, I would like to thank you, whether you're watching or you're listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the ASOM experience. I'm extremely fortunate and excited and grateful, every time I see new listeners and new people watching and reading your comments, or knowing also that something out of this whole movement is impacting you in a positive way. A quick reminder, the goal of the ASOM experience is really to touch lives with stories, with experiences, with ideas and topics. It's the work that we all do collectively and individually to live a better life. So I'm gonna jump to today's guest, and I'll start off by saying we have with us a transformational coach. And now we have a woman with us. She is the founder of Conscious Sapiens. She guides women from people-pleasing, very interesting, and self-criticism to self-love and emotional mastery. I mean, I say these and I got goosebumps, because those are some of the most important topics that we kind of neglect in a way or another in our personal growth. And I would love our guest later to talk a little bit more about that. And one more thing also, she is a proud human to have done the work, and she got herself out of depression. So she has so many stories to share with us. And she also has a lot of resources, and she has a program online. And I will share with you also her Instagram page in a bit. And first of all, I would like to welcome with us Sasha. Hello, Sasha.
Hi, Serge. Thank you for having me. Wow, what an introduction. Thanks so much for the kind words. And yeah, really grateful to be here as well.
Amazing. Perfect. We are extremely glad that you're with us. Sasha is connecting right now from Switzerland. So you're based in Switzerland, right?
Yeah, in Zurich.
In Zurich, great. For everyone who's listening or connecting from Switzerland, whether you know Sasha or not, it's a great opportunity for you to meet someone who's doing, this type of work. And to get to know a little bit further your story, Sasha, tell us a little bit more about you. Why are you here today?
Well, it's quite a long story, but let me try to keep it brief. I have found myself in quite a deep depression a few years ago, like you mentioned. And the reason, well, there's many reasons, of course, but I think the main reason was that I was not really listening to myself. I was not listening to my inner voice. I kept on ignoring what my soul was telling me it wanted. And I kept on just following the advice of the society and my family and friends, and doing things that I was expected to do, And I ended up completely disconnecting from myself, my true self. And I became this someone else. I was basically pretending to be someone I was not. And eventually I ended up in a very bad mental and emotional place where I hated this person that I've become, because that was not me. And it took me quite a few years to get to know myself again, to be able to love myself again. And as I was doing that, and I was doing like very heavy personal and spiritual development, at some point I realized, wow, I have accumulated so much knowledge, and I'm sure that there are people out there who are potentially where I've been a few years ago, and I could share all that knowledge. So initially I started my Instagram page as just a, personal development blog, nothing fancy, just, one inspirational quote per day or some tip per day. That's it. That was my idea. I was not planning on coaching. I didn't even know what coaching was. I was still working a job that I didn't like, still, not really being depressed, but still having up and down moments in my life, and still, working hard on my self-love and my emotional well-being. Until last year, I got fired from the job that I really hated. which was
Amazing.
actually
I love
yeah,
that.
it was, it took me 6 months of constantly writing in my journal, like, I want financial freedom, I want to be independent, I don't want to work this job, I want my own business. So I kept on saying I want, but I kept on not really doing anything about it, except posting sometimes randomly on Instagram. And then one day the universe was like, okay, you want it, here you go. So it was like a slap in the face, sort of like a kick in the butt sort of thing. It was a blessing in disguise. It was not easy to handle, but since I got unemployed, I said, okay, now I have the time, let me use that time and let me try to do something with it. And this is how I started finding out about coaching and getting certified and learning NLP. And NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. And yeah, slowly getting my first client. And I don't know, it's very, trial and error sort of thing. I'm still figuring out this entrepreneurship game. And yeah, moving into entrepreneurship was like a whole other level of personal development. Like, I had so many fears and doubts and limiting beliefs that came up that I had to work through. My God. This stuff is serious.
Big time.
So yeah, this is how I ended up here today, in a very brief summary.
Amazing. I love it, Sasha, because every time you show up, just to give a little bit of context, like how we met. So Sasha and I, we have met online, basically, and not through a dating app. No, we've met through a friend who's, we've attended, let us say, personal development events together. And that's how, you and my friend got connected. And then I got connected with you. And then together we co-host and co-moderate a room on Clubhouse for those who are listening and who are aware of Clubhouse. So yeah, we've shared several topics around personal growth and how to unleash the power within. And we've called, the Clubhouse is still available. It's called The Humans Unleashed. So a little bit similar to what Sasha, let us say, preaches, or I wouldn't use the word preaches, but more like shares through conscious sapiens. And thank you for mentioning also the different areas of your life where you've noticed certain challenges and difficulties and where you have done the work, and every time I say the work, because the work is not just the external work, the one we see on a cover, or the one we see on Instagram, or the first impression we see of someone, but it's the work within. It's all these, battling with all these thoughts, all these limitations, and as you said, limiting beliefs, and being also responsible of having your own business or being an entrepreneur is something I'm sure many listeners and people watching resonate with. So yeah, once again, whether you're listening or you're watching, thank you for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. Do not miss out. And also, I would love to mention, for you to connect with Sasha, so her Instagram is conscious_sapiens, and her name is Sasha transformational coach. Okay, so conscious_sapiens. This way you can find her, see what she shares. She's extremely generous in what she shares in terms of quotes, tips, amazing photos. I see one here with a sunflower. That's really cute. And so yeah, just really cool to have you here. I maybe I hijacked a little bit like the introduction, but I just wanted to express like my gratitude. So tell us a little bit more, Sasha, like what motivates you to wake up in the morning? What really gets you kicking, gets you out of bed?
Good question. Just to rewind a little bit, just a couple of years ago, I was struggling so hard getting out of bed in the morning. Like, I didn't like my job to the extent that I developed a recurring headache just to avoid going to work. Like, that was seriously awful. And starting this blog was kind of this little motivation of giving back and sharing what I know. And honestly, I've spent, since I started going into personal development, and at some point I quit my job that I also didn't like at the time. And I thought, okay, now that I quit my job, I'm going to find what I love and everything's going to be great. And none of that happened, obviously. It's not that easy. And this is how my depression got even worse, actually, because I realized I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. Like, what the hell? What am I doing on this planet? So it took me a few years to find my purpose, let's say, which I don't like this phrase, to be honest, because I think it's a little bit overused. And I don't think there is such a thing as one specific purpose on this planet. The way I see it is that you just need to discover yourself and discover your light, discover what lights you up and what brings you joy, and use that and how you can use that to serve others. And that's it. This is the purpose. There's nothing fancy about it, but you just need to find this light within you. So for me, I was always loved helping others. I always loved giving advice, sometimes when it wasn't really asked for, but I was always sharing like those things and tips that I know with my friends. I was always known as the good listener. So eventually I thought, okay, actually coaching sounds like something that I could be very good at. And it combines all the things that I love. It combines helping people. It combines sharing my knowledge and my story. It combines listening. And if I get paid for it, wow, that's like
The
perfect.
cherry on the top, yeah.
Jackpot, basically.
Amazing.
And so, yeah, what motivates me in the morning is, one, knowing that I can potentially make a difference with someone just by sharing a post, or by, maybe giving somebody a compliment on the street, or helping somebody out, or any other way. And another thing is creativity. Like, once I started working on my own business, wow, there's so many things I can do. Like, I don't have the time to do everything I want to do. Well, in my previous jobs, I was always put in a box, and I was always limited of how much I could do with my work. And here, there's absolutely no limit. There's so much I can do. I just need to, like, my struggle is to focus on one thing and do one thing.
Okay.
and not to go everywhere.
At least you know your struggle, because a lot of people do not even know what they're struggling with, and this is part of awareness, and this is part of the work that, again, I use the word work because it's the inner work, and it's really what leads us to be more connected, I guess, with our lives. And you've mentioned purpose and light, so it's interesting to add a little bit on that idea of finding your light. I've read a quote, or I've seen a post, I think it was a few months ago, and I was really going through a hard, dark time, transitioning between different stages, different levels, and new steps. And I've read this quote, and it says, first you find your light, then you find your darkness, and then you find your true self. And it really struck me, because I feel like at a younger age, I did kind of see the light, and then I went deeper and I found more light within, and I decided to use this abundance of light and positivity within me to to bring it out to the world. But then I was really kind of covering the other side, which is the darkness. And when I say darkness is not negative, and it's not pejorative. And I must say this to our listeners, because darkness is just the unknown. It's just the area of your life where you're unconscious, where you have not done enough work yet to be aware of that. But just wanted to say that whatever you're going through right now, and I say this to our listeners and people who are watching, whether it's your light that you're exploring, or it's your darkness, or it's any area of you, this is absolutely normal. It's actually great that you are looking into these areas instead of just being distracted. It's just being numb and somewhere else. So I'm glad, usually I listen more in these interviews, Sasha, but it's just I feel like together it's more interactive. So excuse my excitement for
Can
jumping
I add
in.
Something?
Yeah, please, absolutely, go ahead.
To develop a bit further on this idea that it gets worse before it gets better.
Mm.
And just to go into a bit deeper as to why this happens. So we are manifesting all the time, 24/7, right? We're constantly giving out these, I want this, I want that, or I don't want this, I don't want that. And then whenever our desire matches with our emotional state, we manifest what we want or do not want, right? This is manifesting 101, simple. So whenever we start to desire something really that is next level, that is bigger than our current life, and we say, okay, we want this, we want that, we want that, but we are not in alignment with what we want. We do not match energetically. So the universe is going to be like, okay, you want that? Sure. But first you need to upgrade yourself. And in order to upgrade yourself, it's going to start sending you all this weird challenges and shitty situation and the people and whatnot in order for you to upgrade yourself so that you become a match to your desire. So don't be surprised when you decide, okay, I want growth, I want that, I want, wealth, I want whatever, and then suddenly your life goes to shit. Yes. That's exactly what happened last year when I was like, I want freedom, I want independence, I want to run business. First, it had to get worse. Like I had to go through another period of, semi-depression before I actually got myself out of it. And then I was more resilient and more able to actually start the business, because 1-year-old Sasha probably would not be able to withstand all the stress that comes with owning a business.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you for sharing this. I love how you put things into, because you base yourself also on a lot of science and a lot of the studies that you've been through, and probably you refer also a lot to NLP and things that you've acquired through your trainings, and I'm glad that you're with us right now, and you're, let us say, you have more of an expert perspective on these areas. So thanks, Sasha. And
I love using science to prove the woo-woo spiritual concepts.
Yeah, the woo. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because honestly, science is just catching up to spirituality. That's all that is.
Yeah. Yes. So next question. Tell us, so you've shared a little bit about some of let us say some of the moments or the events that happened in your life, but what was one of your major turning points or aha moments? What was that, something that really strikes you out?
Well, the turning point for me to start doing the work was definitely, and I remember that day very well. Yes. I was in Amsterdam at the time. I was still with my ex-husband at the time. That was like the darkest moment of the whole depression episode, which lasted for a few years. And at that time I was like really not well. I couldn't socialize with my friends. I constantly felt like I was being made fun of. I developed an eating disorder. I had insomnia. I would spend days in bed. I didn't want to get out of bed. I felt extremely sorry for my ass. And yeah, I was just marinating in my own misery, basically. That's what I was doing, feel like very much into a victim mindset. And we were fighting every day with my ex-husband. And I remember one day I thought like, I don't want to continue like this. So I went on my laptop and I Googled like, what's the least painful way to die? And I Googled it and I found the answer, and after some time I realized, okay, what the hell are you doing, Sasha? No, this is not okay. So this is when I said, okay, now I need to actually do something about this. This cannot continue. And from that moment on, I started like getting really serious and checking, okay, how do I deal with depression? How do I fix myself, etc., etc.
Wow. I must say, I truly appreciate you and respect you, Sasha, and especially that you're with us right now. And I think it's really a beautiful message that you spread also for people who are probably going through big doubts. You know, we all go through these, every one of us, with no exception. And I'm one of them. And I'd like to say that, you know, sometimes we just want all the pain to go away. And therefore, you know, we refer to maybe what's the easy way. But that's not how it works, you know, and life has proven it so many times to us that there's no easy way out, you know. And I'm really glad that you share openly your story with us, and it's beautiful. I see you now, you know, the person you're becoming, because, you know, we're always becoming, and it's amazing what you share and how you do that. So once again, thank you. And I'm thanking you also on behalf of our listeners and people who are watching. So yeah, that's really great. Beautiful.
Yeah, and for
Beautiful.
those who are listening and watching, my message is simple. If you're feeling bad, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling like you can't get out of it, you absolutely can turn your life around at any point, at any moment. I'm the living proof of that. And I got myself out of depression without therapy, without meds, like completely on my own. Okay, it took probably longer than it should have, but you know, it's possible. It's absolutely possible. Yes. Just you need to look within and you need to reconnect to yourself. Like for me, depression is just a complete disconnection from who you really are. From like, who said it? I think it was Jim Carrey who said it.
Yeah.
Depressed equals deep rest. That you just basically need to rest from playing this role that
exactly
you're playing. And I completely relate to that. So this is where personal development comes very handy, and you just need to, you know, just go deep dive into who you are and go on self-discovery journey, which is the best journey that you will ever take.
I totally agree with you, and I confirm that. Like, I feel that, you know, every time I go into a new phase or a new level of that self exploration or discovery, you know, it just brings me so much insight, and, you know, things make more sense when you look really within. They make much more sense instead of having to go find the answers outside, you know, in the society, on the news, in the media, colleagues, family, you know. Just stop it. I'm just saying this to people who are listening and watching. Just stop going and finding these answers, you know, next door. They're not next door, okay? And they're not even, we are not the answer. So what we're just doing is we're kind of bringing more awareness. This is the whole purpose here. So amazing. Sasha, I don't know if you want to add anything before we proceed with our next question.
Well, I would add one more thing for those who are potentially not feeling a lot of self-love these days for themselves. Self-love is also, it develops once you get to know yourself. Like a lot of people focus on, I have self-love, like self-care, this ritual, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that's nice. But in order to really like fall in love with who you are, you need to know who you are. It's like dating somebody. You need to really it's a relationship. You need to really develop this relationship with yourself. You need to get to know yourself really, really well. And, you know, the good sides, the maybe not so, you know, sides that you want to accept, you know, like you said, the light and the dark. You need to find all of these things. You need to accept all of these things. And once you do that, self-love comes automatically. You don't have to do that, anything. It just happens automatically.
Absolutely. That's really beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful what you share on self-love. I mean, the last solo episode that I was preparing, it was on how to be in a relationship with yourself, how to have this self-relationship, you know, and how to basically, you know, go through self-care and really like take care of yourself, you know, as another person. And one of the things you mentioned was acceptance and getting to know yourself more. And yes, absolutely. You know, how could you love anything or anyone if you don't know them really well? Because if
Mhm.
you do not know them well enough, you're not loving them purely. You're loving just an idea that you've created in yourself of them. So
Yeah.
that's just something I wanted to add here. Before we move on, can we move on?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. So, Sasha, what would you advise your younger self, let's say 20s or late teens? Um, what would you advise Sasha? You know,
Oh my God, so many things.
beautiful.
Yeah, I think the most important advice I would say is get to know yourself better,
Mm,
because I didn't do that until I became 27, 28. I only started really digging deep in my late 20s. So until then, um, I managed to collect so many opinions and limiting beliefs from others that I used to shape my life, because I was basing myself off their opinion, right? So like people used to tell me that I'm shy, and then as a result, I was walking around being shy and it's like super
mm,
uncomfortable around strangers. But actually, I'm not that shy. Okay, I'm an introvert, yes, but these days I'm fine around strangers. It's
absolutely.
crazy how the mind works. Like we adopt all these beliefs from others, and then we walk around thinking that it's true. Well, it's not necessarily true. So I would definitely say get to know yourself really and do the inner work as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Heal
Big time.
yourself.
Big time. Big time.
So much stuff to heal.
All these beliefs that we get from strangers or from people around, well, a little bit less from strangers because their influence is not as strong as, but I'm saying like family, I'm saying like partner, colleagues, people who are really in
Yeah.
our circle. We get so influenced, and have we not done the work, and have we not really been through that level of awareness of ourselves, we become so um, easily manipulated or penetrated, through ideas or thoughts, or and it's interesting. Like this is always a practice for me as well. Like when I get feedback, whether I ask for it or not, the way I react to it.
Mm-hmm.
And before I used to, if someone would say, "Oh, you're amazing," I would be like, "Oh, wow, that's great." I got validation. And then when someone would say like, "You're, you're not good enough," and then I would go back down. So I would be constantly on that balance of up and down based on what I'm receiving. Unlike now today, where I think like probably I grew a layer, which which is based on what I have seen within me, and it's not based on all the conditioning that was from outside. So
Mm-hmm.
so definitely, like, this is also in addition to what you said: do the work, get to know yourself better, and then all the experiences will have a different impact. So
Yeah.
do you want to add anything here?
Yeah, because when you
Yes.
get to know yourself and you start finding out all the little traumas, all the little things that have happened to you in the past and that have had an effect on you to the point that you keep on carrying it with you. So it becomes this emotional baggage, basically. And the more of this emotional baggage you have, the heavier
Hmm.
it gets and the more emotionally triggered you become. So I used to be a very angry person before I started my healing. I was carrying a lot of anger in me from that I carried from my childhood and my teenage years, and I would get so easily triggered for stupid things. Like for example, I would be in a restaurant and they wouldn't have the thing I wanted on the menu, and I would get seriously upset to the point that
Hmm.
I would actually sometimes leave the restaurant for something
Wow.
stupid like this. That's like a minor example. Or back in the days when I used to drink a lot, I would get super aggressive when I would get tipsy or drunk. and start fighting with people. Like, it was horrible.
Amazing.
And well, because we carry all of this, let's say, residual emotional luggage from our past, and we get easily triggered by situations that in normal circumstances would not trigger us, that of course affects our lives, whether at work, whether in relationships, but just generally our state and our physical state. Because every time you get triggered by anger, that's stress. That's a lot of stress, and that affects our health, of course, and productivity and sleep and a lot of things. Like, healing emotional baggage is so important for not just for inner peace, but for it improves all areas of your life. Like, after I did this NLP work that I'm doing now with my clients, I've of course started with myself, and seeing how my life changed, I said, okay, what the hell is this? I want to know how to do this. This is magic.
Yes.
And now, after releasing all of these guilt and fear and anger and shame, blame, all of these, and sadness, all of these emotions from my nervous system, these days I don't get triggered anymore. I think the only thing that gets me emotional is my own thoughts.
Yes, of course.
like external circumstances very rarely bother me. And even if it's my relatives who are potentially being not very supportive or offensive or whatever, what if like last year it would really trigger me and make me feel really upset. These days I say, okay, they're just projecting their shit onto me. I have nothing to do with that. It's fine. It's such a difference when you're able to choose how you react, when you're able to control your emotions. It's amazing, really.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful.
And that's what the work, this healing work, allows you to achieve, this emotional balance, this emotional well-being.
Exactly. That's really good. I enjoy every time we connect and every time we talk about these things, because you're so full of tips and experience and things you share, and beautiful. And yes,
Likewise.
thank
I'd
you.
love to connect with you too.
Thanks, Sasha. Thank you so much, dear. Tell us one other experience you've had, one of the most, let us say, vulnerable experiences you've had, that could be around failure or shame, something that really made you, the amazing person you are today.
Failure or shame? Oh gosh.
Could be something else, like, but really, let us say, really vulnerable experience.
Yeah, let me think. So one of them, what comes to mind, for whatever reason, I don't talk about this often. So I was married for almost 8 years, and we were actually in a relationship for almost 12 years with my ex-husband. And at some point, deep inside, I realized that I just didn't love him anymore, and our relationship was just not working anymore. I think what happened is we just grew apart because we married very young. And eventually, I started doing my inner work, and I think we just became different people that were no longer a match, which happens.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with that. And that started around the same time when my depression symptoms started to show up. But by the way, which I didn't know what depression was, so I didn't catch it on time. And that's why I think it developed into something really bad. So be aware of the symptoms. It's very important to be aware. And around the same time, I started feeling that I don't love him anymore. But instead of, acknowledging and accepting it, I was in complete denial. And I was feeling guilty. I really felt guilty for not loving him. And I thought, okay, maybe it will come back. So I tried to somehow save the relationship. But because I kept on being with that man and that I didn't want to be with him, I started building resentment towards him and towards myself as well. So I kind of put myself into this mental prison, which really was not a healthy thing to do, now that I think about it.
Mm.
And it definitely contributed to my overall mental health. And I stayed in that place for a couple of years, you know, of like a total denial that things are not working out, um, feeling guilty and ashamed, and really not addressing my feelings at all. And essentially it ended up in us fighting every day. And like, poor man, my poor ex, I feel so sorry for he had to deal with me in that state.
Yeah, it was mutual. I mean, it was absolutely mutual.
I don't know if it was mutual, but yeah, he would trigger me with absolutely everything. And I'm pretty sure I was also on his nerves at some point too. So if I had acknowledged my feelings early enough and like probably split early enough, I don't think it would have ended up as bad as it ended up. But because I did not acknowledge my feelings, because I felt guilty and ashamed, like, oh my God, I'm going to get divorced. This is the end. I'm going to be alone forever.
Yeah,
You know,
the classic,
yeah,
like
and
I won't find anyone else. And
yeah, my
okay,
parents will be so disappointed, blah, 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 like all these things, you know. So this is something that I barely think about, but I don't know why it came to mind. So that experience was really quite um, challenging, really. A lot of
it's
guilt, a lot of shame around that.
it's
Before.
beautiful. Yeah, before it's beautiful that you share. And I don't know. Probably some of your clients today are maybe in a similar situation, or we're going or are going in a similar situation where you can lead them through through this phase, I would say, in order to find the right, let us say, ways out, or the right tools or techniques to, you know, either go through it or get out of it. So is it something that you feel like you can deliver now, you know, something that based on your experience you're able to actually help others through that path?
I didn't have any clients yet who are struggling in a relationship, but I feel that I definitely can help. Um, whether one or both parties are interested in it, I'm pretty sure I can help. And it all comes back to knowing yourself. Once again, going deep and discovering what is it that you truly want, and are you actually happy and aligned in this relationship. Yeah. But I do have clients who have had toxic relationship in the past and are now afraid to go into a relationship again because they've been hurt before. And this is where this emotional healing, the NLP work that I do, the emotional freedom program that I do. 1 second, let me just close the window.
It's all right.
Because the train.
Yeah.
This is where this emotional healing comes in very handy, because we clear out all this hurt and all this guilt and all this shame around past relationships. And then my clients are, after releasing all of that negative, toxic stuff from the past, they're no longer afraid to open up again and to try a new relationship like once again. Like I literally had one call last week with one of my clients who has been through multiple toxic relationships. And after doing one of the, clearing sessions, let's call them that, at the end of the session, he said, wow, I can't believe I fell for it so many times. I should have seen it.
Yes.
But at the time he didn't see it because he was so, blinded by his own emotions and past experiences. But once you clear it out, it becomes so obvious, like, wow, actually, it's not me. It's not my fault. It's
Of
and
course.
it's so powerful. It's so empowering to realize that, wow, it's not you who's the problem at all. It's just this is how it was. And if you learn the lesson and move on, then it's done. It's out. It's over.
Absolutely. I must say it's sometimes we really have to most of the times we really have to walk the path, of any sort of experience, unless we're really so aware that we can kind of predict or anticipate. That's, that is something which some of us are able to do, but sometimes we really need to fall and go through that experience or the story until we really learn. It's not necessarily the harder way. It's just that we really build up that
Mhm.
awareness through experience, such as what happened with you, where now today you are at another level in terms of relating, and for you, you can immediately identify certain patterns or behaviors that could lead
Mhm.
into going back maybe into the red zone. So yeah, it's really good that you emphasized on that. Would you like to share anything further here?
I can share more about the shadow work or the mirror work, especially when it comes to relationships, because our world is our mirror, right? We're constantly getting feedback,
Yes.
and our perception is projection. So what we see is based on how we perceive the world. So that's like a quick NLP intro here. And based on how we perceive everything, we have our filters in our mind that we develop over years based on experiences, values, things that happen to us, and all the decisions that we make throughout life. And then we perceive the world through that lens, right? So this is also where the emotional triggers come in. The emotions are also part of this lens. So your partner could say something, nothing really bad, but it could trigger you. You could get offended by it
Mm,
because something similar happened in the past, and your unconscious mind is like, aha, this is bad, this is not good, this is negative for us. So react. And even though they might have just asked a simple question, but
yes.
you react badly because of something happened 10 years ago. And when these things happen, you can start catching yourself and paying attention to these triggers, because each of these triggers can be literally a teacher, and every single trigger you can use to say, okay, why am I acting this way? What is this showing me?
Mm.
What is there to learn? Every single trigger is a lesson. And if you don't learn the lesson, they're going to keep on repeating again and again
Absolutely.
and again, and they're going to keep on getting worse and worse and worse until you learn the lesson. But if you manage to, every single time that you feel triggered, if you manage to catch yourself and understand, okay, this is coming from that, ooh, this is the lesson. And when you learn the lesson, next time you might not get triggered, or you will be able to, release it instantly. Like these little things are, you can usually literally use it for like constant feedback to improve yourself on like a daily basis. It's amazing, but you need to become aware of these things, and you need to be conscious to these things.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, it's something that I practice a lot, and also mindfulness. And I do it a lot when I'm cooking. When I'm cooking, it's just like I'm into whatever I'm using in terms of ingredients. I am there. I become the ingredient itself.
That's
As much as
awesome.
I'm really like in chopping or in dosing or in the fragrances or the smells from, it's just, yeah.
Serge the
I
broccoli.
Serge the broccoli. So amazing. I'm loving this actually. I'm really super happy with our interview. So here we go. Next question. Sasha, what is your mission right now?
My mission, it actually relates to my brand Conscious Sapiens, which, by the way, I realized after I created it that most people don't know how to spell conscious, including myself. I sometimes make mistakes when I spell it. But the grand idea behind the brand name is, I feel that if every single person on the planet did a little bit of personal development, we would be living in a very different world. I think we would be more conscious, happier, less reactive. There would be less fear, less of this competition and separation that we see right now in the world. So the idea is to upgrade humanity from Homo sapiens to a conscious sapiens, where people are literally more self-aware of and who are doing the work and who are aware and who are emotionally well. And if that's the world I want to live in. So it's kind of a grand mission with a little bit of personal ego mission, that I want to live in a world of happy people who are supportive and loving and nice. And not,
Okay.
the separation by fear and whatever's happening outside. I don't really watch the news, so I don't know what's happening at this moment.
Nothing so interesting, I would say.
Yeah.
That's great. So are you like in the process of co-creating what you call this, like what is it? Is it a movement? Is it a community? Is it?
Well, right now it's still very, very early stages. My grand vision is to have, I guess, some sort of a community, or yeah, like a community online, offline, whatever it is. So I want to raise consciousness of humanity. So one person at a time for now that I'm coaching one-on-one, is one by one, but eventually I would like to grow it into a bigger business, bigger conscious business, to spread personal and spiritual development across the world.
Amazing. I'm a supporter here. So you've got you've got my support and many others. I'm sure by now our listeners or people who are watching are truly inspired by what you bring out. And once again, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. And it's really such a pleasure to know that what we share through this channel can resonate in a way or another, or can inspire you. So feel free to share your comments. Feel free to just share with your friends, someone you feel who's going through something similar. This can definitely be helpful. So Sasha, you've been amazing, and talking about your mission and everything you're bringing out, who are you impacting the most today?
Well, my friends, first of all, my very closest circle for sure, and my clients, and whoever is on my Instagram page. I really hope that I'm impacting them too. I like to share insights, tips, as well as my personal experiences and stories there as well. And literally just anybody coming into my field, let's say, I feel that I can impact, if not necessarily by coaching or giving advice or anything, but just by holding a loving space for them. That's the least I can do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's really great what you're doing, Sasha. And the next question is, I love this one actually. So we are all heroes. Some of us don't wear capes. So who are you a hero to?
Who am I a hero to?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to be, let's say, a hero to women who may be in a place where I was just a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Women and men both, but I feel that I relate to women more because I'm a woman myself. And I feel like the society is much harsher in terms of standards to women than to men. Yeah. And also living in this masculine ruled world at the moment is a little bit of a challenge for a woman to be a woman and to avoid becoming more masculine, which is what I used to be. I used to be very masculine, very power, no emotion,
Mm.
no suppressed emotion, go, achieve, only to end up depressed and burnt out. So yeah, I really want to inspire women to stop looking outside for approval and for guidance and start looking within, because everything, like you said, everything we need is inside of us. All the power is inside of us. It's not outside, it's inside.
100%, 100%. I cannot agree any less. I mean, it's truly that, and with time, you know, we get more and more to confirm that. So amazing. Um, what would you tell the world now? What's your message to the entire world?
My message is pay attention to your emotions and feelings. They are your guiding system. They are there to give you a message. So, whatever it might be, whether it's just a little irritation or a full blown depression, every single emotion you get is there to deliver a message or a lesson. So, pay attention, do not repress, do not go into this false focus on the positive movement. I mean, focus on the positive is great, but never ignore any other emotions. All of them are there for a reason. And yeah, get to know yourself, get to know what these emotions are telling you. The most important journey that you will get on is the journey of self-discovery, really. And the most important relationship in your life is the relationship with yourself. I mean, you're with you for the rest of your life. You're the only person who's going to be with you for your whole life. So get to know that person, get to know what they feel and why they feel that. Become friends, become best friends. And yeah, and remember that you are unique. So your journey is unique. There's nobody else like you. Even twins, they're not the same. Even twins have different life experiences, right?
Absolutely.
So there will never be you again. There was never you before. So enjoy this trip called life. And yeah, get to know yourself. Get to know this person you're tripping with.
Lovely. I love this. So good, Sasha. So good. So we're getting into one of our last parts of this interview, and this is what I call the fast cues. So basically, you know, you have to answer in one word or one phrase.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Yeah. So
I don't like this game.
So yeah, you can cheat, but you know, within. So yeah, fast cues. Okay, number one. What is the meaning of life?
Finding the light.
Finding the light. Amazing.
And enjoying it.
And enjoying it. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, that's, you see, why do I call it fast cues? Because it has to really reflect, you know, the first thought or the first feeling that comes to you when thinking of that. Because if it's too much thought and put together, it loses its real essence. So number two, we are put on this earth for what reason?
To get to know ourselves and to enjoy the journey.
Yes. What is destiny?
Destiny is what you make of it.
Yes, beautiful. What is true happiness?
True happiness is being in alignment with your needs, desires, wishes, values. Yeah.
Always the right answer. Always
and actions. Is there a wrong answer to this?
I shouldn't say that. But no, it's not. I mean, your answers are really proven. You know, this is what I mean. They're proven to work. So The next one, does reincarnation exist? Do you believe in, reincarnation or a second life or an afterlife?
Honestly, I used to think it was a bunch of crap. After doing NLP, I think that there is something to it. And just in general, I think it's nicer to believe that, yeah, you come back.
Yeah.
Than to believe that you just disappear forever into the nothing.
Yes. Okay. Okay, cool. What is true mindfulness?
Being present, like super present.
Okay. Okay. Being a broccoli?
Being a broccoli,
Being
exactly.
a broccoli. Talking about present, what does it mean to be present?
What does it mean to be present? For me, it means to be fully in your body, to be fully aware of all your senses. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Nice. Nice. Okay. And last but not least, how do you describe God?
God, the universe.
Yes.
This abundant substance that we're all made of. How do I describe it? My God. That's a very good question. I never thought about how do I describe it. Yeah, I will describe it as this powerful, omnipresent substance that is the source of everything, and that is pure love, and that is here to experience itself through all of us.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Something like that.
No, it's great. It's great. Like when I say God, God can be also the universe, consciousness, the higher self, the guide, any way, we see it. So, and I've got one more final bonus question. Okay. So it's
Yay,
not bonus. So what question have I not asked you? If there was any question that you would have liked to be asked.
I would have liked to be asked. Good question. What comes to mind? Spirituality, because I mentioned spirituality before, that it helped me get through. And I know quite a lot of people are not really spiritual or even like not religious. And spirituality is not necessarily it doesn't have to do with, worshiping God or worshiping source or worshiping whatever. I prefer to see spirituality as a relationship with yourself and how you see yourself in the world and how you relate to yourself and the world, plus all of the, ever those existential questions like who am I and and what is my purpose. It's kind of like this stuff. It's not necessarily burning incense and meditating every day and clearing your chakras. No, not at all. Spirituality for me is more like honoring this relationship with yourself and whatever rituals you use, because everybody has their own rituals in order to connect to themselves and to this God within them, right? So it's more like that. So don't be afraid of the term spirituality. It's not really religious or it's not really what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, it's nothing really woo-woo. It's more like how you relate to yourself.
Yeah. Amazing.
Is that a good question?
That's a very good bonus question. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's true that I do not ask the question, I say, explicitly, but it's really great that that you brought it up, and also to have the way you perceive it, and it's amazing. So this is our final round, and I'm extremely happy that you were here, Sasha, and you've shared so many beautiful insights and ideas and experiences. And once again, thank you to all our listeners and people who are watching. You also make a big difference by being here, by taking the time, whatever you're doing, whether you're, driving or cooking or walking your dog or, anything you're doing right now. Remember, you are doing this for you, and we are very happy to be part of this and to contribute in a way or another. So if you have not yet clicked the subscribe, do it. And a quick reminder, Sasha is on Instagram, and you can find her on conscious_sapiens, conscious SC, okay, underscore sapiens. And she's a transformational coach. Once again, she guides women from people pleasing and self-criticism to self-love and emotional mastery. So go ahead, connect with her, and you will surely have a lot of things to share. And Sasha, once again, you were amazing. Do you want to share one last thing before we call it from here?
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Serge. This was an absolute pleasure. I feel like we could go on for hours and hours.
Yes.
This was such a good match and alignment. I just wanted to add for your listeners that there's always a possibility of having a free coaching call with me. It's not necessarily a coaching call, it's more like a clarity session where I would help you get clear on, because when I was in a few years ago, when I didn't know what I wanted or who I was and all this drama, I didn't really have the tools to get clarity on some things. So it took me a long time before I got this clarity. And I could offer you a free coaching session to get this clarity. So if you're interested in that, it's absolutely free, no strings attached. You can find the link on my Instagram page and book a discovery call whenever you feel like it.
Amazing. It's great that you mentioned this, also the clarity calls, and they are here for anyone who wants clarity, basically, and also for you to be able to see from which space they are coming. So yes, go ahead, guys, and feel free to connect with Sasha. And once again, thank you for being here. Whatever time it is of the day, have a good day or have a good evening, and see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.